Here we go. We have made it into a Japanese love hotel. Here we are. Konnichiwa! Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, the Traveling Clat, back here with another video. So, this video is my rebuttal against YouTube for demonetizing my Japanese love hotel video. And without further ado, I just want to get in and give you guys tips about visiting a Japanese love hotel. So back in the spring, I visited Japan and I was there for a month and a half. And during the trip, me and my friend Moshe that were traveling together across Japan were very curious about what a Japanese love hotel was like. We had seen videos on it, we wanted to see it with our own eyes, and just kind of get an idea of what this thing was. Now, if you don't know, Japan has a very weird culture when it comes to... You know what? I'm going to be extra safe, so I'm not even going to say the word because YouTube will demonetize that video. Let's just call it making love, but you know what I'm actually talking about. Japan has a very weird culture when it comes to that. People are overly in love with making love. They love doing it, but there's a lot of social awkwardness, especially when it comes to the youth of Japan and doing stuff like that in their own place or in a place of home. So love hotels kind of were bred out. Now, love hotels are not an exception just in Japan. They actually exist all over the world, especially in the United States and Western Europe. What I want to do is basically give you guys a little bit of a relaxation sesh, so you feel welcome to go and visit these if you are a tourist, if you want to experience a Japanese love hotel. I'm going to give you guys all the information about what I know personally. This is totally not a cash grab because that video went viral and YouTube demonetized it. Thank you, YouTube. Anyways, it is the Christmas season and people are ready to make love, so if you're in Japan, you better get ready for this video to blow your mind a bit. So there are some particular love hotel and love motel districts in both Tokyo and Osaka, the two biggest cities in Japan. But these hotels, from what I've understood, exist in almost every city in the country. You can kind of take out the little rural cities and the little rural towns, they probably won't have them, but they exist in most places. Because they cater to youth, and there's a lot of youth in big cities most of the time, that's where you're gonna find probably the most prominent ones and the biggest ones. So first of all, let's look into how you're actually going to locate your love hotel. So like I mentioned earlier, there are districts for this stuff, like places where they actually exist, and a lot of these love hotels are congregated. In Osaka, it was in this area called Namba. We were very close to it. Right next to a subway station, there seemed to be this little district of maybe like 2 streets right next to each other that had like 8 or 10 love hotels. And finding a love hotel is easier than you might think because they're not very discreet. They are the corniest looking things in the world. They're gonna have these romantic mood lightings. If it's gonna be like neon pink and red, kind of something steamy and sexy to get your brain kind of flowing with something like that. The buildings all have these cliche names like the Exotic Heaven and Zen Dream House and stuff like that that'll make you kind of figure out what it is. Some of them are more themed, like we found one that had the Ted the bear from Ted the movie. It was a giant love hotel just themed like Ted. But yes, most of these love hotels are going to be congregated together in one area. And another indication for you that you're in the right spot is you might see some Japanese, how do I put the word? You can see that YouTube has trained me well at this point. A good indicator will be women that make love for money. Not saying it's a bad thing. Even though technically that act is illegal in Japan from what I believe. So that's how you're gonna know you're in the right area. You're looking for those cliche, funky, cheesy looking places and women that are doing stuff. All right, so now you found your area of love hotels. Now you gotta choose the one that you wanna go into. So obviously, I would do some research on the internet. Obviously, before you do any of this, you're gonna wanna be looking up stuff on the internet, maybe find a more direct answer for which love hotel you actually wanna visit. Once you locate your love hotel, you're gonna go and check in. So not all love hotels work the same in Japan, and that comes into checking into the hotel. So there's not always a concierge. A lot of times now it's automated with computers, so you don't even have to talk to anybody. This is very discreet. You can walk in, look at a plasma screen TV, click a bunch of buttons, or talk to the computer, or whatever it is. When we got there, we were just provided with a bunch of options, and the price from what was on the outside was different than what was on the screen. And we didn't really understand what was going on, so we just ended up clicking a bunch of buttons until the elevator opened up for us. And it was just like, oh, okay, we did this right, I guess. But to ease your mind a little bit, basically what you're gonna wanna do is get a Google Translate app with the phone translate thing. This is obviously if you don't speak any Japanese. So you can translate the Japanese that's on screen. Be ready for that have that in your pocket ready to go when you arrive. That way you can just scan all the options and see whatever you want to do. So that's one option if you check in. Now, if there is actually a person checking you in, this is from research that I've done online because we personally didn't experience this. I have been told if you are two males walking in, you might get denied. So even if it's just you and a friend like me and Moshe, where we have no intention of doing anything in this room other than just looking at it and maybe picking up the certain items that are there just for the fun of it, you might get denied because homosexuality is still somewhat stigmatized in Japan. So just keep that in mind. If you are two males going, maybe one person wants to check in first and then get the other person to go in second if you can, if that's even an option. Keep that in mind. It might be an issue, but I can't tell you for certain. Brush up on a little bit of Japanese. Just try to get some basic words there so you know how to maybe figure out what exactly is going on. Phrases like "hai," which means yes, or "ie," which means no, and know how to respond, you know, yes or no to certain questions. Another good phrase for you to have is "ikura desu ka," which means how much is this? And you could kind of point at whatever and just ask and maybe try to get a price back or translate that price back. So that would be my tip for getting into the room. Now, assuming that all these steps have been followed and you've successfully made it into your love hotel room, it is time for you to have some fun. Or not. Whatever one you want. Like, you don't have to have fun. But basically, when you enter the Love Hotel, you pay when you leave. And when you walk into the room, a little box will greet you and say, "Konnichiwa," and it'll start speaking a bunch of Japanese and tell you details about the room that you're currently renting and how much time you have left with a little timer. Guys, we got 60 minutes. Yeah, it's counting the time, 1928. Okay. Here we go. We have made it into a Japanese love hotel. You will use this to check out when you leave. You will actually pay in this little box. But when you enter the room, you'll be provided with whatever you actually are booking and paying for. So in our room, we had one large bed, and on the counter next to the bed, there was like a radio that controlled the lighting, and it had separate mood lightings for the different moods that you want. Something that's more exciting, something that's more romantic, something more dull, something in the middle. It had a radio that could be controlled from there. As well, there was a little heart-shaped tin box that if you opened up, inside you would find, man, YouTube's just gonna monetize me if I say this word also. Little plastic device that prevents pregnancies. Use your imagination. I apologize. It's not me that's censoring my voice. I would say the words. If you have a problem with me not being able to say these things, tweet at YouTube. It's not my fault. Behind the bed, we had kind of a giant mirror displaying ourselves, and on the other side, we had a TV. And the TV is actually kind of an important part in the Japanese love hotel experience, because people, when they come there to do their fun time, sometimes they need a little bit of inspiration. So these TVs come fully loaded with the hottest films on the market, and use your imagination to know what I'm talking about. But to give you guys a little example, in the video itself that we actually recorded, it was very, very funny. There was one of these movies, one of these dirty movies had a woman sticking a hookah pipe. Can't even talk. I want to, but I can't. Where does this go? Prestige. Convulsive. Oh my god. Oh. Hello. Oh, okay. Is that a hookah? It was an interesting experience. That alone was part of the fun experience, and they were all Japanese people in these movies, so it kind of extra delves you into the culture. Like, it's fun. It's fun to just sit down and see those things and kind of hang out. It was pretty funny to us. And obviously not putting any light brush on it, for a lot of people this is a very real, intimate experience, and this is part of life in Japan for a lot of people. And people actually use these films to, you know, do whatever they want to do, and that's totally cool, not to point fun or make fun of it or anything. Besides that, under the cabinet to our TV was a very, very interesting section of the room. There was a cabinet that you would open up. It was a little shelf with buttons, and each button had a little picture next to it. And clearly these pictures were paraphernalia for use of having fun times down in your gun times. And a lot of the boxes were empty, but one of them actually clicked, and I didn't realize that it charges you immediately when you click it. Computer relaying that information. So when you click that button, it takes that information, relays it to the computer on the entrance that we spoke about when you just enter the room, and then the price goes up from that. It says that there's stuff in there. Look inside. There's nothing in there. Oh, I hope that doesn't charge me. Oh, I think it did. Body massage lotion. Can I put it back?
I don't want it.
So as I clicked that button, a door opened that could not be closed again, even though I tried closing it. And out came a little bottle of liquid that makes things easier to happen. Let's try that again. A water-based liquid that when you will make things so much easier. Imagine a gel. I'm just gonna use the long version of the word. It's lubricant. I'm like tiptoeing over everything right now. So just keep in mind that if you find something like that and you start pressing a bunch of buttons, the price on the screen might shoot up way high. But I know there were things like undergarments that you could buy in there and certain devices to stick inside of things. And you could use your imagination, but what you'd be able to kind of buy there. And I'm pretty sure everything that you buy in there you could take with you after. So keep that in mind. But on ours, there weren't any prices. Besides that, inside of this Love Hotel, in this room, we had a shower section that you could go and shower. Obviously, the shower was a full glass door, so the viewing inside could be viewed by whoever else is in the room. And on the outside, there were hair dryers and combs and different types of colognes that smell nice and all that stuff. And kind of the last bit to see inside of the room, there was this little section with like magazines, and these magazines had catering options, so like food service if you wanted to. I'm not really sure how you would order them. It didn't make too much sense. They did have prices on them if I remember, and if you call, I'm pretty sure that's how you would order them, but it didn't really have any clear instructions to me. As well, it had a picture of a bunch of different lingerie options if that's something that you were into or wanted, and I'm pretty sure you could have them delivered to the room as well. So if you're in there with a partner and you're trying to get funky, you could probably look at the image and see, okay, this is the type of lingerie I want, and order that to the room. So now let's say everything went really well and you had fun, it was a great time, and now it's time for you to check out. So you're gonna move over to your kind of screen, robotic Japanese talking device, and you're going to click some buttons. As for us, we could not Google Translate it because of the screen. It was very hard. So I would say brush up on some Japanese writing. Maybe it'll help you, but at this point, I swiped my credit card about 20 times and I tried different cards and it would not work. And we sat there, I think, for 15 minutes trying to check out of this room. No avail, nothing would work until we put cash inside the machine, which kind of sucked because we wanted to pay with card and you could pay with card. What I'm assuming is that maybe it doesn't take foreign cards, so it might be something that you just want to have cash ready to go. So that was our experience checking out. After you check out, the door kind of unlocks, you can step out of the room and you can take yourself down to the elevator and leave the Love Hotel, and that would have been your Love Hotel experience in Japan. I hope that this video shed some light for you and kind of made you feel a little more comfortable about going. I hope that the footage that I overlaid over this video as well made you kind of seem like this is not the scariest experience, and if it is something that you truly want to do, I highly recommend you have the CLAT seal of approval for you to go. I want to remind you, if you are new and you are just seeing this video for the first time, that I actually travel around the world making YouTube videos, and I got a lot of really exciting stuff coming out on this channel soon. And for those of you guys who are longtime subscribers of mine, I'm sorry that this is just a random bonus video, but it is the month of December. I'm trying to capitalize on that YouTube ad revenue, so I'm pumping out a lot of videos. I'm just trying to make as much cool content as I can for you guys. So please, if you're new here, if you're old here, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single video, and make sure you leave me a like and a comment down below. Tell me what your favorite part of this video was, and we're gonna see you guys in the next one. I love you long time. Goodbye, class.